Good morning to everyone. You know, it's actually frightening when people clap for you. It means expectations are high. So, well, we welcome everyone, and it's with great appreciation that I say thank you for coming. And to also appreciate that the church gave us the opportunity to have this kind of gathering. We would like to thank our Father in the Lord for that opportunity. We're going straight to the basics. If I would also say, there's a slide presentation, I don't know if it will be up, but just to give some disclosures that I had some contributions from people, Tokumbo Adodo and Pastor Sheya Deyemo, in coming up with this presentation, although they are not here. So what exactly are the objectives for this youth initiative that we have just started? Surely there must be a reason why not only that we're gathered here, but that we want to continue to have this kind of events. So there are about 5 of them. And the first of them is, how zealous are we? Zealousness. Mentorship. Then we need to understand our concerns as members of the youth. Then of course we want to grow in God. That's growing spiritually. And it's also important for us to say that we are ready for rapture. Now, how are we going to be ready for rapture? These are some of the conversations we would have going forward today and in other gatherings that we can have. And one thing I would also say is that charity begins from and at home. And so we are starting here, we are starting from our hearts. Now, these elements that I've raised were given to us by our Father in the Lord. These are his expectations. It means he has great expectations coming from all of us. So, Sheon had already said or asked the question, why are we here? Truly, and the question I'll ask myself is, why exactly am I here? I come to church. Why do I need to be here? Why do I need to be part of this gathering? And the first reason is because, yes, we've been given the opportunity. And secondly, because I am a youth. Now, we've used the word youth as an acronym, saying YOUTH. And I'll try and link that acronym to the objectives that we talked about before. Zealousness, mentorship, being ready for rapture, growing for God, and all of that. So the first thing, youth, that's the why. I don't know if it is very clear, but that's the acronym. So the first thing is, I'm a youth. I'm young, I'm youthful. Now some of us may be wondering, who exactly is a youth? I mean, is it based on age or disposition? Or is it based on my line of thought? There's really no specific or one definition for youth. Some say anyone less than 50 is a youth. So this answer will address some of the questions some of us may have. Why am I here? If you are less than 50, then we can say you're a youth. But in terms of disposition, some people say that I'm youthful at heart. So even if you're above 50 and you're here and you're youthful at heart, then you're most welcome to be here. So it's important for us to clear that aspect. And of course, I need to serve the Lord when I'm young. Now, there's a quotation that we put there at Ecclesiastes 12:1. And the importance of that verse, it says that serve the Lord whilst you're still young. And it says, before a time comes when so many things are no longer of interest to you. So that means the Bible is trying to say, serve the Lord whilst you still have the energy. So it may be that you have the energy up until the age of 80 or 90. So it means you may be youthful at heart, and it means our discussion is pretty much relevant in your circumstance as well. And of course, there are examples of those who, from their youth, we're told that they served God, they were diligent, and they are fantastic examples of Christianity. Of course, there's David, there's Samuel, there's Joseph, so many of them. And the important thing about these gentlemen, these wonderful men of God that we like to relate to or relate with, is that they served God whilst they were young. Samuel was called at a very young age. He didn't even understand who was calling him. He didn't even understand who God was, but he was serving in the church. David, whilst he was still young, he started to display skills, temperament that every Christian should have. He was passionate. He could play the music. He could play the harp. He could do so many things. And he was someone God was ready to use. So if I'm young and I'm strong and able, it means I'm a tool that God can use not only to bless me, but to bless my immediate environment. So having said that, the next item we should then look at is, I'm on a journey. That's the O. Life is a journey. And this journey, I would most likely stumble every now and then. If I do not stumble, things may go well, things may not go well. So that journey, who is walking with me in that journey? Who is making my journey easy? And that journey is leading somewhere that we would also talk about. Then the U there is understanding my concerns. Now, it's important to note that for most of us, you know, growing up, you would always say, maybe my parents don't understand me. People don't understand me because my thoughts are different from theirs. So we need to understand your concerns as members of this church, as falling under the category of youth. And I also need to understand my concerns. What are those concerns that I might have? Then the T there, every youth has to be teachable. So am I teachable? Am I willing to learn? And people say that there's no end to learning until when we all go into our graves. Then the final bit is that I'm heaven bound. So in this young disposition, in this energy that I have, in understanding my concerns, in this journey that I'm undertaking, that I have started ever since I was born, am I really heaven bound? Because in reality, all of us, the most important aspect is, where do I end when I actually finish this journey? For those of us who may be in school, whatever you do from the first year in school, ultimately, the journey is for you to finish school successfully. Yes, I want to finish with good grades. I want to perform as well as I can. So everything I do is channeled towards the end of that journey. Now, as a youth, spiritually, everything I do, everything I say, my thoughts and my consideration is channeled towards, am I heaven bound? Am I qualified for heaven? Because if I am qualified for heaven, all of those promises that God made in the Bible for us, they are there for the taking. And it means that in spite of the challenges that I may have, He has me covered. He has provided for everything that I need. And so if I'm heaven bound, then I'm on the right track. So we can move to the next slide. Okay, I think they're having a bit of technical issues, so I'll just reference the slides from my own device. So we start with, being on the Christian journey. We've talked about the why in terms of strength and all of that. So on a Christian journey, now as a youth, it is very easy for me to want to be like everyone. I mean, these days, everybody wants to make money. You can make money whichever way you want. A lot of people are into fraud and all kinds of Ponzi schemes. People make money and they also get into trouble. But why can't I be different as a youth? Why can't I dare to be different? Because yes, it's good to go with the trend. You know those days when you want to have the same type of haircut that someone has. You want to wear the same kind of clothes that someone else is wearing. But as a person, do I have that identity for myself? Because if I did, then it would be easier for me to be different. This also speaks to some of us who are into business. Everybody wants to do one business or the other, which is fantastic. But why am I doing business like any other person? Why is there no integrity in my business? Why is there no integrity? Why is my yes not yes? Because we should also bear in mind that the more people trust you in all that you do, the more they recommend you for greater things. So it means the reason why my business is struggling may just be that I need to change my attitude. I need to change my quality of service, my delivery timetable. A lot of people may have had challenges with, maybe you have a tailor or you have a plumber. They may have disappointed you, but some don't disappoint. And those are the ones who have the best referrals. Then as a youth, my other challenge is youthful lust. And of course, the Bible tells us that we should flee all youthful lust because there's a blessing that comes with it. it recognizes that as a youth, certain things will come into my mind, my thoughts. But how well am I equipped to avoid some of those youthful lusts? And this can be referenced under 2 Timothy 2, chapter 22. After saying that, yes, I want to live and enjoy myself. So do I. But then, do I want to live for here alone, or do I want to live eternally? I would rather choose the latter, because it allows me to be the blessing that I was supposed to be when God created me on earth. Then with the you, understanding my challenges. Now, every youth, and of course, anyone who is not a youth, don't forget, we've tried to clarify any considerations around who is the youth. Once you have energy, if you're less than 50, even if you're above 50, and you still fall into that category of worshiping God and doing all those things you need to do before you go into the grave, then of course you may qualify as a youth. I want us at this moment to, cast our minds back to the most difficult situations we ever encountered. Some it may be business, some it may be relationship, some may be in the course of our study, some may be family. It could be anything. You don't need to say it out, but please think about that period. That you had a very difficult period, a very difficult time. My question is, what role did God play when you were going through that difficult moment? Because we all have difficult moments. We have moments where we are very sober. I may have had an extra year in school. I may have failed. I may have not been able to get admission. Even with my colleagues, I may not have a job. I want to get married and it seems difficult. I want to have children. In that struggle, who are you carrying along with you? Now, because I have struggles, then I have certain requirements. So what exactly are my requirements? Of course, basic economics says what you really need: food, clothing, and shelter. And once you have all of that, you have everything. So we could say maybe your needs are physical, emotional, and spiritual. Could be a blend of all of them. But what exactly do I want? Do I just want to be wealthy? Or do I just want well-being? Do I want to be healthy? Am I concerned about living a life that is flashy, which is really, really tempting most of the time? Because I see, and why can't I be like the next person? Why is mine a bit different? So, do I want wealth or do I want well-being? But then let us be careful what we long for. Now in Ecclesiastes 2, 4 to 11, now the preacher says, I did everything. I had fantastic projects. I acquired gold, silver, all kinds of things. He did everything. I did not deny myself anything that my eye could see. But verse 11 says, there was no gain under the sun. Because he realized that after achieving all of that, there was still something lacking. And it makes it very humane for us to consider who is responsible for that thing that is lacking. Because that could be the point that takes me to the next level where I intend to go as a youth. Now, as a youth as well, in talking about challenges, where do I go? Who do I cry unto? Of course, we know you should cry unto the Lord. But in crying out unto the Lord, am I even faithful to that God? And which company do I keep? And in keeping that company, what do they help me to achieve? Do they help me to achieve a clear approach to my goal? Do they take me closer to where we've talked about, that is heaven bound? Or are they just a distraction? And which is why it is actually easy for you to know what kind of friends or relationships to keep. Some relationships are clearly a no-no. Or we still indulge because we believe it might get better. But deep in our hearts, something is saying that this has no future. So why am I involved in something that has no future? Because gradually, I keep forgetting that rather than praying to God, rather than going to people who have better experiences than I have, rather than choosing my friends carefully, I may just have decided to go with the Joneses. I may just have decided to be like any other person. In this life, and like we were told, we are sent amongst wolves and all kinds of characters. Why should I be one of them who can be designated as having a bad character? I would like to refer us to Ecclesiastes 2:26, and it is a very important verse because it says that for those who please God, he gives them three things. He gives them wisdom, he gives them joy, he gives them knowledge. So if I had all these three things, what else will I lack? Because if I actually wanted to be wealthy, he gives us wisdom to create wealth. He gives us knowledge to be able to navigate things and do anything we wanted to do. He also gives us joy, which is what everybody wants. So the man who wants money, the man who wants success, the student who wants to excel, ultimately, he wants to be happy. And God has guaranteed that he will give us that. Now, on the flip side, towards the end of that verse, is that he says, now for those who do not please God, he allows them to work hard. He allows them to acquire wealth. And he then ensures that they hand it over to those who please him. So why am I on a journey that is fruitless? Now, to the T, which is about being teachable, and this also speaks to mentorship. And the question is, am I a good example? Now, as Christians, we're supposed to be examples to our peers, family, in church, and to every single person. So am I a good example to others? Even, am I a good example to myself? Do I inspire myself? Because if I don't, then I have a problem. Now, you might say you don't have anyone around you to look up to. You might say that you don't have anyone that inspires you. You might say you do not have any mentor. Let us remember that at Antioch, Peter and the rest never called themselves Christians, but people saw a Christ-like character in them, and they started calling them Christians. So maybe at the end of the day, what people are actually waiting for is to see that character in me and in you, so that we are shining examples and we're a blessing unto others. So of course, if I don't find a mentor, what am I supposed to do? If I don't have, even in church, if I look around me and I'm not happy with people that I see, then it's a challenge to me that that mentor, that ideal person that I'm looking out for, maybe I am the one who should continue to work and walk towards that initiative. Because maybe you're the one the church is waiting for to take us not only to the next level, but to be a blessing unto other youth. So no one should look down on himself or herself, because the truth is everybody is special. And as such, if I have the opportunity to be a mentor unto people, then I need to understand my purpose, and I need to be part of that. Then of course, the final one, which is the H, about being heaven-bound. Now, I said earlier that the ultimate journey is for us to make it to heaven. And that, even from the preacher, that is the ultimate. That is the conclusion of the matter. And the conclusion of the matter really is, after all has been said and done, have I been able to please God? Because it says, honor God, obey his commandment, love him. Those are the key two commandments. Of course, we can talk about loving other people as well. And because this world as we see it, there are certain aspects that we cannot control. So those certain aspects that we cannot control, brethren, it's important for us to bear in mind. We need to hand it over to someone who is willing and able to do all of that for us. Now, we've talked about the acronym YOUTH. And my next slide is really, when I've done all of these things, then I can start to talk about my health, my career. I can challenge God about my career, about my job, about my finances. I can challenge God about my marital life. I can challenge God over everything because I have done everything he asked me to do. So as a youth in church, when we need certain things to be done, what role am I playing? They say iron would always sharpen iron. Am I the iron that can sharpen others? Or am I a work in progress? Whatever it is that I am, there's always an opportunity for me to do better. Then on the final note, because I don't want to take too much of your time, on a final note, I'd like to say that we've started a journey today. And this journey is meant to take us from glory to glory. I'm so excited about the number of people who showed up and who turned up today. It means that if we were 100 or 50 people here, it means there are 50 people that God wants to use. It means there are 50 people who can actually be a blessing to the church. When we started to ask people to participate in some of these gatherings, one of the things we asked is, look, what department do you want to be? Everybody has one gift or the other. My gift is to glorify God. And I think even in the Bible, everyone that was mentioned, everyone that had a gift, emphasis was not even on that gift. Emphasis was how that person was able to glorify God. So if I'm a very good singer, who am I singing for? What role am I playing? Am I edifying the church? Am I considering the acronym YOUTH in my songs? If I can speak very well, if I can pronounce words well, if I can inspire people, to what end? Where does it take me to? Is it taking me to the H, which is the heaven bound? Is it helping people to take them to that journey, which is heaven bound? If I can play any musical instrument, so can every other person. So many people can play the musical instrument, but mine must be with a difference. Not only because I can play, but because I am a youth that now has a purpose. And those letters in the acronym are now becoming clearer to me now, that for everything I do, each time I walk into the church, I must have an expectation that I would hear from God. I must have an expectation that I have an obligation to God and to myself and to everyone to be that shining example that we've talked about. Because at the end of the day, God is only going to ask one question. Of all the gifts that you had, of all the qualifications that I attained, of all the blessings and the money that I had, of all the businesses that I was able to run, who was blessed? Who was glorified? And what next? I'd like to end my discourse here because I don't want to take so much of our time, but I would like to encourage us that in all things that we do, wherever our treasure is, that's where the heart is. So is my treasure or my heart towards edifying other people and being an immediate blessing? Like I said, as youth, we all have struggles. But in those struggles, who will be glorified at the end of the day? So whilst I want to join one department or the other, I need to go into that department with a different mindset. Not because I want to play music, but because I want to bless God. For everything that I do in which God is glorified, He starts to lift me higher. And I don't also want us to think that some people have been able to achieve this better than others. Because like I said, life is a journey. And we have started this journey together. And may He take us to that ultimate destination. Thank you very much.